Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 6 of the anime series, Noragami. This was a hell of an episode where essentially we're picking up right where we left off. Yukine has basically had enough of the fear that, basically Yato had warned Hiyori he was going to be experiencing being brought to her house and having to be holed up there and everything like that. She thinks it's for his own good that he's going to be there, and she's hoping to sort of lead him on a better path, one that goes away from, basically like Yato, exploiting his abilities against humanity and doing all these things. And we see that this is failing miserably because essentially he is having visions as he looks into the cocoa she made him. She brings him cocoa and cookies, and in the cocoa he sees a phantom, very shockingly, and he just decides to get out of there. He runs away, and as he's back in that shopping center, that mall, what have you, he steals that skateboard that, basically Hiyori had told him not to do the last time. He's starting to feel rebellious. He is probably a teenager, and even though he is a phantom of sorts, regalia even, he still has that side to his mind. He was never able to live his life to the fullest, so that's still ingrained in him. And of course, as he steals this thing, it signals Yato's mind with their little mind link, and brings Yato to find him. Now, we have this really compelling confrontation that then erupts because, of course, Hiyori has figured out he's left, he's ran away, and she chases after him, manages to somehow find both he and Yato together, and that's when Yato says, Yukine told me you bought this for him, is that true? And she's still harboring the fears that, Yato could kill Yukine and stuff like that. I don't believe that he will. I think that, when we're referencing the past and this regalia he killed, I think there was probably more to the story that we may eventually find out. Maybe we won't. It all depends. But out of her fear, she lies. She covers Yukine's butt, as far as, yes, I did buy that for him, and it's just going to strain potentially their relationships, this trio's dynamic, if suddenly, she takes to lying for Yukine, or if he thinks he can get away with those kind of things. And I think deep down that's what Yato is trying to prevent. He wants to mold this, regalia of his, this soul, if you will, into a shining example of what he's supposed to be, rather than making all the mistakes and pitfalls Yato has made, because I think there is some guilt deep down. Why warn Hiyori that somebody may come after them and to go seek out Kafuku and Daikoku and all that kind of stuff, which then comes back into play in this episode, where essentially this woman, as I referenced in the last video, talking about she looked like something straight out of Metal Gear Solid, all badassery, Bishamon, we learn her name in this episode, and she basically has a vengeance against Yato that she wants to see fulfilled. Now, the speculation is, and Kafuku doesn't do much to allay this speculation when Hiyori asks her, the whole concept is that, Yato must have killed one of Bishamon's regalia ages past, because the only thing he's good at as a god of calamity, which is what Bishamon calls him, is death and wreaking havoc. So essentially, we have her trying to hunt down Yato and destroy him. He, against Yukine's will, kind of, because of the fear, summons Yukine to become his weapon, and they hightail it. They lead Bishamon on a merry chase. We learn that every single part of her attire, everything that she has, is a regalia of some type, from her clothes to her belts to her weapons, even her sort of scanning system, which is all overseen by this regalia Kazuma. And it's very interesting. The lion is even a regalia and everything like that. Not that I ever suspected otherwise, but it's just intriguing to learn all of these things play a part in her being this strongest god of war ever, that kind of thing. And essentially we have Hiyori finally heeding Yato's words, going back to Kafuku and Daikoku and asking them for help. And again, they don't really allay the fears of the situation. They kind of strengthen them, if you will. But of course, they come to try to help at that last minute. Kafuku ends up inadvertently opening a vent, a supernatural vent, a bridge to the underworld where all of these phantoms are now escaping. And basically, Kazuma, Bishamon's main sort of regalia, who seems to recognize Yato. There was a very poignant moment toward the end where he orders almost Bishamon to leave for her own good, otherwise she'd be consumed by the phantoms pouring out of this vent. He, once she has left, is glaring across this gigantic explosive energy at Yato, and he bows his head as if there's some kind of recognition. There's more going on. And what's also interesting in this battle as it's ensuing, we see that the lion, Karaha, basically takes a chunk out of Yato's shoulder, and Nora is there. This is very intriguing to me because what is the story with Nora? Is she even fully a living regalia, if you will, a spirit regalia, or is she like a ghost of one? I'm not exactly sure what the story is, but she casts a restraining spell on Karaha to basically keep Yato safe, or as safe as possible, but he's still very wounded, and we see him patching himself up at the end of this episode. There's just so much going on in this episode, just more of this engrossing story being revealed to us, and I can't wait to see where this is all going, whether or not Bishamon will have her day to go up against Yato again, or whether something will bring them together and make them understand each other better. It seems like, Kazuma is going to be talking to Hiyori about something, further revelations, no doubt, and I just can't wait to see what exactly is in store. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you've seen episode 6 of Noragami, what you thought about all the revelations and the action that took place in this episode. Are you feeling more for Yato? I know people are giving him a hard time for the hard time he gives Yukine, and I think it's deserved to a point, but also there's much more going on with Yato, so I still sympathize with Yukine. I think Yato's being a little too hard on him at times, and I think there's a reason for it. That's why I'm forgiving with it. And, so otherwise, I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you later. Peace.